Welcome back everyone to another Edmonton housing market update for the month of June 2023. This time we're going to be looking at the most recent statistics available from the Realtors Association of Edmonton, which is using the May stats. So let's jump right in. The Edmonton housing market has continued to pick up. It's been nice weather outside. People like looking at houses when it's nice out. We're further into the summer months. If you caught my last market update, I talked about how it definitely felt like it was a more balanced market and was quite competitive in certain price points, and that's being reflected in the stats that we're going to look at today. But before we move on, just wanted to remind you that if you're wanting to stay up to date on exactly what's happening in the Edmonton real estate market, make sure to like this video and subscribe. You just hit that little notification bell, and that way you'll never miss another video. As usual, we're going to start with looking at the market as a whole, then we'll move on to single family homes, and then we'll finish off by looking at things like the benchmark price for different property types so that you can see what's actually happening with prices depending on the types of properties that you're looking at. Okay, starting off with the market as a whole. The market as a whole includes single family homes, condos, and half duplexes, and basically any other residential type. All right, so in Edmonton, we were sitting at a 34.79% absorption rate, which puts us into a balanced market. There was a total of 5,200 listings at the end of May, and there was 1,809 sales throughout May. If you look over here on the right at the 13-month history, you can see that that's a bump up from last month when the absorption rate was just over 27%. So we've moved several percentage points up, and it's still, pretty much right on par with where it was last May. And last May it was 33.69%. So the market as a whole is looking quite similar from a balance perspective as it was last year. Now looking over at average price for the market as a whole, it was sitting at $395,036, which is up 2.43% from last month, but down 3.02% from May of last year. So you can see over the last 3 months, we've had pretty solid gains in average price, going up 5% in March, 5.23% in April, and now up 2.43% in May. So definitely seeing a trend there. A lot of that is seasonal, but it caught a lot of people by surprise since the interest rates had been quite a bit higher. Most people, or a lot of people at least, were still expecting prices to go down, and that seems to be just the opposite that's happening. Let's continue on here. If you look at the prices for 2023, on average, they're down 5.12% compared to last year. A lot of that's still making up for the losses that we got in the later half of 2022. All right, now let's look at the active and sold listings. So as I mentioned before, there was 5,200 active listings at the end of the month and 1,809 sales. So the number of active listings at the end of the month was up 4.92% from April. What we have for inventory is actually increasing a little bit, but it's down 9.09% from May of last year. So even though it's been picking up month over month, it's still not as high as it was last year. And then the sales are up 31.76% from April. So pretty big increase from last month. Again, not totally surprising considering it is still part of the spring market. Usually April, May, or June tend to be one of the biggest months. So that looks pretty solid, seeing an increase like that from April, but it's still down from last year. The sales are down 6.12% from May of 2022, which is interesting because a lot of other times we've been seeing about a 25 to 30% decrease in the number of sales compared to the same month last year. Whereas this is the first time where we're not down nearly as much. So that does tell me that there has been an acceleration in the market in the last month that's helped it catch up a little bit closer to last year's activity, at least for that month. Again, looking over here on the right hand side, you can see how that market balance has shifted over the last 13 months, with us looking like we're in a pretty similar situation in terms of balance as we were this time last year. Average days on market for the market as a whole was sitting at 43 days, which are down a little bit from last month when we were sitting at 45 days. So it's stuff selling a little bit faster than it was last month, not a huge difference in terms of the average. If you look at May of last year, it was sitting at 30 days. So that is one thing, even though from a balance perspective, the market as a whole looked somewhat similar to May last year. The days on market is still quite a bit higher this year compared to last year. You can also see how that shifted over the last 13 months Looks like it peaked in January at 65 days on market, and it's steadily come down since then. A lot of that is a seasonal change as well. Stuff tends to sit on the market for longer during the winter months and move a little quicker during the spring market when there's lots of buyers out there. Now, just looking at the market distribution, we had about just over 20% of the market under 200,000, 16.71% of the market between 2 and 300,000, 24.39% of the market between 3 and 400,000, and 18.3% of the market between 4 and 500,000. Then there was 10.29% between 5 and 600,000, just over 5% between 6 and 700,000, 2.27% between 7 and 800,000, and 1.13% between 8 and 900,000. After that, there's less than 1% of the market in each price bracket. Again, this is market as a whole, so a good chunk of those ones under 200,000 are gonna be condos. So let's now look at the single family home market, but I did want to remind you, if you're in the market or you will be in the next 6 to 12 months to buy or sell a home in Edmonton, I'd love to help you out with that. I am a realtor with Yeg Pro Realty, and you can book a free strategy call with me at booktrevornow.com. Then you can select a time on my calendar and I'll give you a shout. You can ask me anything you want to know about the Edmonton real estate market, the process of buying or selling. I am here to help. There's absolutely no obligation to work with me, but I do hope that if we click and I'm able to help you, that you do end up choosing me to be your agent. But otherwise, it's all right. You can also reach me on my cell at 780-819-5508 or email me at trevor@trevortardif.com. All right, so let's move on to the single family home market. The single family home market is also looking balanced with a 34.95% listing absorption rate. So that's not quite in the middle of a balanced market. And just so you know, that the options are either buyer's market, balanced market, or seller's market. When it's a buyer's market, buyers have a lot more negotiating power. If it's a seller's market, the sellers have more negotiating power. And if it's balanced, that means it's not too far in either direction, and you're usually not seeing quite as much price movement in a balanced market, either up or down, and you're just seeing things kind of steady. You're making deals work, and there's not too much crying on either side of the table. Now, that has changed again about the same as it did last month. In April, we were sitting at 26.19% absorption rate, but if you compare it to May of last year, the single family home market was sitting at 38.36% absorption. So not quite as high up there as it was last year. The average price for single family homes was sitting at $498,597, which was up 1.16% from April and up 0.16% from May 2022, which is interesting. We're seeing a little bit of a gain from last month, and it's actually telling us the average price is up from the same month last year. If you look at it for the year though, like 2023, it's still showing us being down 2.55% compared to last year, whereas in 2022 we were up 4.96% on average price, and in 2021 we were up 7.65% in average price. Later on, we'll look at the benchmark price, which I do find is a much better statistic to look at. The average price can be skewed quite a bit, but let's go into active and sold listings. So with active and sold listings, there was 2,961 active single family homes on the market at the end of May, and 1,035 sales. So the number of active listings is up 2.17% from last month, not a huge change there, and up 0.07% from May 2022, which again was interesting because it felt like so far there had been less listings than last year. But in May, that situation changed a little bit, and in terms of number of active listings at the end of the month, it was like our inventory levels, I guess you could say, was pretty much bang on the same. Now for sales, with 1,035 sales, that was up 36.36% from last month, another big increase there, and down 8.81% from May of 2022. So again, even though we're down from last year, we're seeing a significant increase and an acceleration in the market in terms of the number of sales compared to last month. Over here again on the right is the 13-month history. It shows you the same sort of balance changing from last year to this year. Last year we had 2,959 listings at the end of the month and 1,135 sales. Now we've got 2,961 listings. So like a few, there's only a few difference in terms of inventory, but we had a few less sales as well. So interesting how the market shifted in just a few months. Now looking at average days on market, it's sitting at 41 days. It was 43 days last month. So again, a slight drop, but it was 23 days last year. Again, the balance looks the same, but the average days on market is still significantly higher compared to last year. But I can tell you that 41 days, that's a decent number. And there's a lot of properties that are moving a lot faster than that. Like if you're under 450,000, it's priced right. The house doesn't need work. Like a lot of those houses are flying off the shelves, especially if they've been renovated and they're not in need of any cosmetic upgrades or anything like that. That's a very popular and competitive property type right now. So don't expect those properties to necessarily sit around on the market for 41 days. That's just the average. And it's really gonna vary depending on what part of the market you're in. Again, go to booktrevornow.com if you wanna hop on a call, and I can give you some more specific guidance based on what you're looking for. Now, the market distribution, as you can see, under 200,000 is 1.36% of the market, so almost non-existent for single family homes. And between 2 and 300,000 is 9.44% of the market. Not a lot to choose from in there. I've got a few clients in that price point, and I can tell you again, it's very competitive. The houses that do tend to sit usually need lots of work, but if there's something that comes up and it's attractively priced and it doesn't need a boatload of work, those ones often go like the first week. They'll get an offer and it'll go. So don't wait around. Make sure you get out there if you see a property that you like and go and look at it right away. Then between 3 and 400,000, it's 27.18% of the market, and between 4 and 500,000 is 27.06% of the market. Between 5 and 6 is 17.22% of the market, and between 6 and 7 is 8.6% of the market, and 7 to 800,000 is 3.84% of the market. Got 2% exactly between 8 and 900,000, 1% between 900,000 and $1 million, and then 1.63% between $1 million and $1.5 million. After that, it's a pretty small percentage points. So this time, the amount of the market between 3 and 400,000 and between 4 and 500,000 was pretty much bang on, with 27% equally distributed between those two price points. So that tells you that 3 to 500,000 is where it is at in terms of most of the action. Okay, so let's just look at a couple more things in regards to pricing. So that we'll look at the benchmark price now. The benchmark price for all of Edmonton was sitting at $371,000 for the month of May, which was up 0.7% from last month, but down 9.1% from last year. I do find this is a better stat to look at if you want to look at real prices, even though it is lagging a little bit behind. It's still a little bit more effective than the average price. If you look at the benchmark price trend here on the right, you can see that we basically started going down from May of last year, and especially saw some big drops in August, September, October kind of thing, and then kind of bounced along the bottom a little bit, November, December, January, and then it started to pick up since then. So it's not going like crazy, but it's definitely trending upwards. Definitely can't say that'll go on forever. Part of that is seasonal, since prices do tend to go up in the spring and they do tend to go down in the fall and the winter months. But let's look at benchmark prices for different property types. So single family homes, the benchmark price was $440,000, which was up 0.7% from last month and still down 8.4% from last year. Apartments, the benchmark price was $172,000, which was up surprisingly 1.1% from last month, but down 4.9% from last year. And townhouses, the benchmark price was $225,000, going up 1.4% from last month and down 9.1% from last year. Hope you guys got value out of this video. Let me know if you guys have other questions about the Edmonton real estate market in the comments below, and I'd be happy to give you some more of my thoughts. Remember to like and subscribe. If you click over here, you can subscribe, and if you click over here, you can watch another video. All right, thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next one.